In last week's broadcast, remember that Abraham Lincoln wanted to separate black people and give them a place outside of America and aid from America in helping us to go for ourselves. And Mr. Lincoln said that it was morally right that we be separated, and it was in the best self-interest of America to do so. And what he was looking for then was those strong men and women in government who would recognize and have the will to do this. As it was then, so it is now. In fact, it is more morally correct that we be separated. In fact, it is more in America's self-interest to help us to go for self. So if you have any moral sense of what is right, what is judicious, what does moral mean? Moral means it is of or pertaining to or concerned with the principles or the rules of right conduct, or the distinction between right or wrong, ethical or moral attitudes, expressing or conveying truths or counsel as to right conduct, founded on the fundamental principles of right conduct rather than on legalities, enactments, or custom. Here again, Lincoln, the 16th president, is linked to the moral sense of the third president, Thomas Jefferson. In his mind, it was morally correct to send the slaves out and let them go free. And it is in our self-interest, Lincoln said, to do that. Here are two presidents that were overridden by a majority opinion. Thomas Jefferson could not get the founding fathers to agree with the morality of what he was saying, and they couldn't see their self-interest and the long-range good to their children in the morality of what he was saying. And neither could the people in the time of Abraham Lincoln see the moral sense and the self-interest of separating the black from the white. Lincoln said, party operations at present only favor or retard colonization incidentally. They don't favor it fully, but incidentally and incrementally. Now look at this. This is why members of the Jewish community could influence the politicians of that time for separate but equal. It's a form of colonization because the blacks are in a separate area, but that area is controlled from whites outside of their area. The definition of colonize means to send a group of settlers to a place and establish control over it, come to settle and establish political control over the indigenous people of an area, to appropriate a place or domain for one's own use. Is it an accident that everywhere you find black people in America, you find us living in an area appropriated to us by that which has the power to do so? So we have been effectively colonized without giving us anything. like Thomas Jefferson or Abraham Lincoln desired for us to have. We live in an appropriated area under the control of whites through black preachers and politicians and business people that white people control. They gerrymander us as Dr. King has accused them of doing. What is gerrymandering? Gerrymandering in politics is the dividing of a state, a county, into election districts so as to give one political party a majority in many districts while concentrating the voting strength of the other into as few districts as possible. That's part of the incremental, incidental colonization of us. You redraw districts to take power from and give power to. Many colonies in Africa, the Caribbean, and in Central America were gifted their freedom, except Haiti. So when your former slave master gifts you something, you better be careful that it's not a Trojan horse. Is it something that has in it something that will overcome you and eventually keep you in a colonized state? Black people's condition in Africa, the Caribbean, and Central America is nothing more than a colony of blacks subjected to the whim or will of outside forces. So you are separate, but very, very unequal. So now your desire is to integrate into the major colonial power, not completely separate from them. Let's see how blacks have fared integrating into the countries of their former colonial master. How's it going? We have many Francophone countries, countries that have been under the rule of France, and Anglophone countries, countries that are under the rule of England. But both the Francophone and the Anglophone countries are still tied to your former colonial master. His education is what you function by. His legalities and system of law and governance and jurisprudence is what you function by. So you have a flag. You have representatives in the Commonwealth nations and in the United Nations, but you are not able to yet see that you are yet a colony.